Guys, pay close attention to how quickly I am getting my abilities back in this Grandmaster, because with this build you will be getting your grenade back in under 7 seconds every single time. This build is not only going to help you in general content, but with enough practice you can even take it into Grandmasters for those exciting rewards at the end. However, do keep in mind that in harder content, you are going to have to try extra hard to make this build work. But once you do, I promise you will have a blast playing this build. Today, I am going to teach you things that I guarantee you didn't know about the Stasis Titan and its interactions. For example, the Stasis Titan melee, Howl of the Storm, when combined with Hoil, instantly gives you Empower ×2 to your grenade and barricade. Also, every time the shatter from your destroyed Stasis crystal hits an enemy, it renews the empowerment ×2 for another 5 seconds, meaning that with your melee alone, you can have this insanely strong buff for up to 25 seconds, which if you've ever used Hoil, then you know this is absolutely insane and borderline broken. Now, a quick reminder that I am streaming every day on Twitch and YouTube, doing Grandmaster, Artifice Armor and Exotic Quest helps, so don't be afraid to say hi and ask any questions. Let's start with the subclass, because Stasis alone has some of the most amazing fragments in the entire game when it comes to ability regen. We have Whisper of Shards, which boosts your base regen recharge rate by 500% for 6 seconds after you shatter a Stasis crystal. This goes up to a maximum of 10 seconds, and with this build you're going to be shattering a ton of Stasis crystals, almost giving you a 100% uptime on this fragment. Our aspect Tectonic Harvest also plays a huge role in this build because it creates Stasis shards after we shatter a Stasis crystal. These shards give you 10% melee energy and can be boosted all the way to 17.5% melee energy per shard thanks to Whisper of Hunger. With this combo alone, popping the crystals that you create with your melee will automatically give you over 60% of your melee back. Shattering the crystals from your grenade will instead give you 80% of your melee back because there's 5 of them. This is without any exotic or mods, just your subclass. It's freaking insane. Now, we obviously can't forget about our class ability, because we also want to get it back as often as we can. And to help us achieve that, we are going to be using Whisper of Refraction, which gives us anywhere between 10 and 40% class ability energy back, depending on the enemy, whenever we defeat slowed or frozen targets. This also works with chill clip weapons, which I love using with this build. The subclass alone makes this build quite powerful. However, we are going to be taking it to the next level with our exotic Heart of Inmost Light, which I'm pretty sure most of you already know what it does, but for those new players that don't, here's a quick explanation. Using either one of your abilities will empower the other two, boosting their damage and recharge rate. For example, if you use your barricade, you will empower your melee and your grenade. If then you use your grenade, you will now have your melee empowered 2 × 2, which is the same buff, but with even more damage increase and ability regen. The strategy with this exotic is to keep your abilities empowered for as long as you can, meaning that ideally, you want to wait 3 to 4 seconds between using your abilities, especially in harder content where you can't play as aggressively. Lastly, the cherry on top that's going to make this build even stronger is our mods, because all of them will give us ability energy back whenever we use our abilities, which when combined with everything we've gone through makes up this masterpiece of a build. Mods such as Impact Induction, Bolstering Detonation, and Grenade Kickstart on our Gauntlet, Elemental Charge for the easiest stacks of armor charge of your life on our legs, and Bomber with Outreach on our Titan Mark. Now that you have a full understanding on how this build works, let's get into all the aspects, fragments, and mods. In the artifact, you want to make sure that you grab Pillar of Ice and Hail the Storm, as well as Kindling Trigger, Thin Striker, and Rays of Precision if you plan on using a solar weapon with this build, which I highly recommend. Stat-wise, you want to go for 100 resilience followed by 100 discipline, then get your recovery as high as you get. For our abilities, we are using Rally Barricade for the shorter cooldown and Glacier Grenades for the Stasis crystals. Aspect-wise, we are using Hull of the Storm with Tectonic Harvest. As for our fragments, we are starting off with Whisper of Shards for the grenade recharge rate boost that it provides, followed by the Whisper of Hunger so we get more melee energy whenever we pick up Stasis shards, Whisper of Refraction so we get class ability energy whenever we defeat slowed or frozen targets, and finally Whisper of Chains, which provides you with that nice 40% damage reduction when standing next to frozen targets or friendly Stasis crystals. Now, if you want to fully spec into Stasis crystals and their damage, then you can equip Whisper of Fissures. This fragment adds a second separate number to your shatter, which is about a 15% damage increase. However, kills from this second damage source will not proc mods such as Ashes to Assets or Firepower, so do keep that in mind. Mod-wise, we are starting off on our helmet and we are going to be using Solar Siphon with Heavy Ammo Finder and then Ashes to Assets. On our gauntlets, we are using Grenade Kickstart with Bolstering Detonation and Impact Induction. On our chestplate, we are just running a standard triple chest resist mod, which is going to keep you alive in the hardest content. On our leg armor, we are running Double Elemental Charge with a recuperation mod. And lastly, on our Titan mark, we are using Reaper with Outreach and Bomber. Weapon-wise, I love using blinding GLs with this build, such as Lingering Dread from Duality. You can even break barrier shields with a GL as long as you are Radiant. These come extremely useful, especially when playing aggressively in harder content. Aside from that, you ideally want to run your favorite solar weapon, that way you can take advantage of the absolutely broken artifact that we have this season. I personally like Sunshot for this if I plan on going close range, or Polaris Lance if I want to stay back. Don't forget that Stasis alone can counter all 3 champion types. When it comes to the most optimal rotation, then I recommend that you always start with your grenade, followed by your melee and then your barricade. This super basic combo will get your entire grenade back in just under 7 seconds. I also like to use my barricade to shatter all the crystals at the same time, but you can also very easily punch them, and thanks to the shatter and Hail the Storm, they should all break after you destroy the first one. Finally, don't be afraid to spam your super, because with Ashes to Assets you will be getting it back fairly often. It is one of the best supers in the game for ad clear and crowd control. Not to mention, it looks freaking awesome. And that is all for today's video. Remember to check out my stream as well as the Discord server if you have any questions. As always, have a wonderful rest of your day.